Hey, Sean, just wanted to ask you about the news about Cam Akers being designated for return. Seems remarkable when you consider it's, basically 5 months removed from when he suffered that torn Achilles. Just your reaction to, him potentially being available for supposedly the playoffs. And I guess what were some of the thresholds that he had to clear to kind of get to this point to feel comfortable with that?
Yeah, he's done such a great job. I mean, what a resilient, tough-minded guy. I think it's a credit to, his work, Reggie and the group that he's worked with. Obviously, Dr. Elatrosh and doing a great job. And so it's an incredible story. Can't wait to get him back out there. When that is something that we're going to continue to work through. But guy's a stud in every sense of the word.
Thank you.
Claudia?
Hey, Sean, I'm sure the news about Cam Akers was like a early Christmas present for you on, talking about the running backs. Sonny Michel is starting to have a great moments in games. How much do you expect from him as you get closer to the playoffs?
Yeah, he's done really well, Claudia, and to potentially have Cam return when that is, not really sure yet, but it's been big. Sony's done an outstanding job. I think he's really carried the load for the last 3 weeks, and I think that's been a real positive thing for us. We'll continue to get Daryl back in the mix as he gets more and more comfortable, coming back from that quad injury and really just getting his win back and everything from even being on the COVID list. So he's, we've got to have a lot of good depth at that position and be able to have some fun things that we can do moving forward.
You have to go into that cold Minnesota to play the Vikings. How much is the team looking forward for this game?
We're looking forward to it. It's going to be a great challenge. They're an excellent football team. They're really good in all three phases. And so it's going to be a great challenge, and we got to be ready to go on a short week.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Lindsay?
Sean, and the last time we talked to you, it was still kind of trying to figure out what the week looked like. What does your guys' week look like with the Tuesday game, Christmas, and everything?
Yeah. So, today we just, we did a jog through in the torrential downpour that we never have here. Our guys handled it well. We did some stuff in the tent, and then we'll do Zoom meetings, and we'll go to SoFi tomorrow. I think that's going to be the best way for us to maximize the amount of work that we need to get done. It's so vital and important. Let the players spend Christmas morning with their families. Hopefully we'll get done at a decent time tomorrow, and hopefully there won't be any traffic just given the holidays and people aren't working, stuff like that. Fingers crossed there. And then we'll get those guys done, relatively, early to later afternoon, spend that time with their families, and then they'll be with their families on Christmas morning. And then we'll fly out of here around, we'll do TSA check, I think around like 11:15, and we'll get to Minnesota, do a couple night meetings, and then roll it out and kick off on Sunday. Here we go.
Please escort down the 1-on-1 will be nice.
Yeah, no question.
And then with you guys having 4 guys voted to the Pro Bowl, can you just react to that? And then what's also your reaction to Matthew Stafford not making the first cut of Pro Bowl players?
Yeah. So, the first thing is really happy for those guys. I think, Jalen and Aaron continuing to play at an elite level. Be very surprised if those guys aren't first team all pros, and really the same thing with Cooper and Matt Gay. Those guys, all 4 of those guys have been instrumental in our success, Lindsay. You look at Aaron, Jalen, you look at Cooper, they're all team captains. And I think Matt, since the time that he got here later in, last year, if you will, kind of mid-season, he's just been clutch, and he's gotten better and better. I think it's a real credit to Matt, but also just the overall entirety of the operation. When you look at Orzek, you look at Johnny as the holder, the protection, that's a really important element. And for us to be as successful as we've been, certainly Matt deserves a lot of credit. But those guys as well. And Matt would be the first one to tell you, really happy for them. And then in terms of, the other guys, obviously I'm always going to feel like, hey, there's a lot of guys that are really important to us. What I don't want to do is minimize the other players that did get it. But I think when you just look at how vital and instrumental Matthew's been to our success, the things that he's overcome, the things he's played through, the production, the way he's elevated everybody's play around him, I can't think of anybody I'd rather be leading our team. And so, he's a Pro Bowler to me without a doubt.
Thanks, Sean.
You're welcome.
Jordan?
This is a dumb question, but with you guys,
so don't ask it.
Well, so with you guys, guys obviously having come off the COVID list and everything, vaccinated, asymptomatic, but did test positive. is there any concern about being out in the rain and it's colder than usual? And, I mean, I know you guys have plans for all of that, but safety precautions in that regard.
Well, I didn't think about it until you just brought it up, but I was really just thinking about, man, let's just figure out a way to get through this jog through. I'm hopeful that isn't something but I'm not a doctor, Jordan, so I don't know.
Okay. And then Sean, in your opinion, is Cooper Kupp making a case for MVP votes, and why is that, or why not in your mind?
Yeah, here's what I would say. MVP, I think there's a lot of different ways that you can look at that. I know how vital and important he is to our team's success, what he's meant to us in so many different ways. In a lot of instances, that usually goes to the quarterback because of the influence and the effect that they have on the outcome and the amount of touches that they have. But, he is playing at an elite level, and I think he's making a case for being up in consideration and conversation for all these significant awards because of the production, because of the leadership, because of the way he goes about his business day in and day out, week in and week out. And so I certainly love him. I'm so grateful to be able to work with him. That's not really my position to say those kind of things, but I think his resume kind of speaks for itself. And he's doing things that have never been done, through these 14 games. These are things that are historic things that he's doing. And again, similar to what I was saying about Matt, football is the greatest team sport. And just like when I walked in towards the latter half of Cooper's, press conference with you guys after the game the other day, he realizes that that's a product of the protection, the other guys distributing the field, and then Matthew being able to deliver the ball. But he is certainly doing his part in a big way.
Thanks, Sean.
You're welcome.
Kevin.
Sean, when did you when did the Rams become aware that Cam Akers could be back before the end of the season or the playoff season?
I would say a couple months ago. I mean, the way that he was trending, you had an idea that if he stayed on track, I always give him a hard time about some of those Russian gymnasts that were freaking making a comeback in about 5 months from the Achilles and performing in the Olympics. So, no, I'd say we kind of had an idea that he was really accelerating his rehab and making great progress. And, he's a freak in a good way.
And then what did he do today? And then what are you looking for going forward to determine when he would be able to play? Yeah,
we really just started his 21-day clock. It's not something that, he's going to be ready to go this week. It's going to be a progressive build. A little bit different than some of these other guys where you put them off that, you activate them, and then they're immediately playing. So there's still some levels to this. Want to be able to check the boxes and be smart with him. So today's a hard gauge, Kevin, just because we didn't really do anything because of some of the weather and things like that. And this is really like a Tuesday in our players' mind. So we're really just starting that 21-day clock with him. And, and I'll be better equipped to answer that as we start actually really doing things that are physical practice reps, where he's been doing things in his rehab that's much more tolling than what we did today.
Realizing it's not a gauge today, but I'm just trying to get a picture. Was he on the field?
No, he wasn't out there with us today.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Gary.
Hey, Sean, having gone through and still in the midst of the COVID reserve list and whatnot, any reaction to Dalvin Cook being put on that list and not being available for your game on Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, he's a great player. I don't want to see any guys go on the COVID list because I have a real understanding and empathy for what an annoyance this thing really is, especially if guys are asymptomatic. I don't want to minimize the sensitivity to when guys actually get sick and things of that nature. But, this game's about competition. You want to be able to go against the best. He's arguably one of the best, if not the best backs in the league, the way that he's produced. You want to see that as a competitor. I hate to see that he's going to miss the game. And they've got really capable players that have stepped up and done a nice job. This is an excellent offense that can run the football. Kirk does a great job distributing it to their playmakers. And so I hate to see that just because I have a real understanding of what an irritant that can be. And I'm hopeful that he's okay.
And then with Tyler Higbee and Jordan Fuller, I know it's day to day, but are you optimistic that they are going to be activated back to the roster before Sunday?
Yeah, Jordan will be back tomorrow. His 10-day window expires. So he's back tomorrow regardless because he's remained asymptomatic, and definitely hopeful to be able to get Higbee back. worst case scenario, Monday would be his day. So we're kind of on pins and needles every time that his test results come back.
And then finally, in regard to Cam, is there a scenario where you guys would not activate him this season? You just let him ride it out until next training camp, or is he going to be back, regardless? I guess I'm just trying to get a sense of how cautious you guys are going to be with this, with a young player coming off an injury like that.
Yeah, I think you want to be cautious, but I do see him being activated. I think he's earned the right, the way that he's approached this rehab and things like that. So, sometimes it can be semantics, but the anticipation is we're activating him with the expectation to be able to play. But whether we end up activating him this week, and he becomes a part of that 53, whether he ends up playing and is a part of that 48, those are things that we're working through. But I do see him being activated for us.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We'll wrap up with you, Nick.
Hey, Coach. You guys are currently on a 3-game winning streak. You guys kind of went through a rough patch early on. You guys had a 3-game losing streak. But did you see something that specifically may have clicked for this team or may have done differently that you feel like, okay, these guys are starting to absorb what we've been trying to teach, from obviously the preseason to where you guys are currently?
Yeah, I think the guys have just handled, some of the adversity that we face really well, Nick. In a lot of instances, there's a lot of layers to it, but sometimes it can be simple. Let's take care of the football. Let's maintain possession of it. Let's get off the grass on third down. Let's win the turnover battle. And I think you've seen those things reflected. When you go back to the Jacksonville game, go back to the Arizona game, we were getting turnovers and we didn't turn it over offensively. That turnover that we had where Diggs made a nice pick in the strike zone area was really the first turnover that we had offensively in the last 3 weeks. And then fortunately, Taylor Rapp ended up balancing that out with his interception to basically seal the game. So I think it's a credit to those guys and then being able to, handle and do the things that we feel like are in alignment with making our football philosophy come to life. And it's worked out for us and really proud of those guys.
Thanks, Coach.
You're welcome.